Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
How raunchy. Just like, do you think it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it's just like sexually moans for like the first bit, but it's so quiet on like an old Geeky Gentleman episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the music, you'd never be like, was that? What, did he? It's just like you'd never be able to know.
I did it at that perfect time.
Just like subliminal mess. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentleman. I am a geek for fun.
Hey, what's up? I'm that Matt kid.
And today, we've travelled far and wide and found the courage deep inside to become Pokemon Masters. With a very fun, challenged / topic that I've seen a couple of Pokemon YouTubers do videos on. Always a bit of fun. Something I think every kid who's played the Pokemon games has always kind of imagined. It's like, like every top 10 wish list for like a Pokemon MMO or something is like, yeah, let you become your own gym leader. Like, it's like, this has always been kind of a hot, I guess, just need that the Pokemon fandom wants that Game Freak isn't letting them do. So I thought this would be a fun way to just discuss it with my good buddy, that Matt kid, and kind of get, because we didn't really talk about Pokemon a lot, but it is such a, there's so much to talk about with this franchise that you can kind of go in so many different weird and wonderful directions with it. So yes, we will be making our own Pokemon gyms. We'll be talking about the layouts. We'll be talking about the theme and like design of the gym. We'll be talking about what Pokemon we'll use. We'll talk about what type we'll use. And we'll see how long it goes from there. And if we need some extra time, we'll just start talking about Pokemon franchise in general and kind of our favorite things from it, least favorite things from it, and so on and so forth. But this should be enough. Feel free in the comments below to play along with us. So post yours; those would be so fun to see. And kind of get like a little idea of the Geeky Gentleman Pokemon region. Would be really funny to have like a list of. But with all that out of the way, first main thing, before we go too deep into this, Matt, what have been some of your favorite Pokemon gyms in terms of the games or even just like characters from the show or anything related to them that has appealed to you and stood out from the rest? Because there's been a lot.
There have been a lot. Yeah, I mean, Pokemon is one of those things that it's a franchise that just kind of oozes personality. And I think that's kind of one of the things that really gets brought to life with its gyms. Each gym has such a unique and interesting character. And it really kind of gives you insight into that person based on how their gym is designed. So I think that's always really, really fun. As far as gyms that stood out to me over the years, like Lieutenant Surge and his electric gym was always one that I thought was interesting, especially because they talk about like a fucking like Pokemon War.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, the fuck? Like, where's that game? And of course, Misty's a classic and things like that. So there's a lot of really good ones out there. I'm trying to think because there's one gym I remember really liking. I think it's the first gym from XY that's like a big spider net. Yeah, it's like a big spider web.
Yeah,
and
I like that
tree.
one too.
Yeah, that one's really fucking good. See, my problem is being 100%. I am a big Pokemon fan. I haven't touched the franchise in a little bit in a minute though, because I played Sun and Moon, didn't really love them. Well, I played Sun. My wife played Moon, and I didn't really love it at first. I couldn't get through it, and then I revisited it. probably about a year and a half ago, and really fell in love with it. Really liked Sun a lot. And I've played all of them except Black and White, Black or White 2. I've never touched that one, and I haven't touched Sword or Shield. So I definitely have a history with the franchise, but it's been a minute. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone that stands out to me from third gen, because third gen is the one that I always kind of fall back on as my favorite gym. Oh, the ice gym from third gen. I really love the ice gym where there's like the sliding. I think that's in third gen. Yeah. I like that one a lot. And then
You even
there's
have
also a
to.
gym.
The thing with the third gem is it decided it decided to take absentee parenting and make that a Pokemon gym fight team. You have to fight your dad in that one, so.
Oh yeah, no. The normal type gym in that one. See, that's interesting because he's your like that's the only time I can think of where
The
your
dad's
parent
around.
is like more of an actual the dad's around and actually a character in the story.
Uh-huh. Like it reminds me I don't know if you've ever seen like Nuzlocke comics. They're
Yeah.
quite big.
Hmm.
They're hilarious. And one of the big running plot threads of the Gen 3 Nuzlocke comic was just how awful like the gym leader dad is. And like he's like, oh yeah, my Slow King is my real son, and you're like, and I'm spending all my time on, and now you have to battle him to prove you're my real son. It's like so
That's
fucked up.
hilarious.
It was the funniest thing. It's just like it's just like, Dad, I don't want to be a Pokemon trainer. I just want you to come home. Like you live like a town away. Why are you here? And it's like I'm with my real family in the
Oh,
battlegrounds.
that's
It's like
so
it's
good.
so good.
That
um,
one's because that's a gym that has a lot more story significance, which is always really cool.
I would like to do stuff like I didn't include that, but this
Yeah.
has been something I thought about for a while.
Yeah.
And everyone knows me on my channel. I do all what if stories, so I actually did kind of have like an idea for what this would look like.
Hmm?
Um, but yeah, for me, on my kind of way, I like again gyms that kind of have. It's a sad thing they actually haven't played Black and White because one of the coolest things about that
Well, I've played
is
Black and White. I just haven't
oh,
played Black and
oh,
White
okay then,
2.
cool. Because you'll get this then. Is like one of the coolest things about Black and White is at the gym leaders all come to help you at the end, and like,
Yeah.
they're all helping out, and they're characters in the story, and you get to know a little bit like them. I always like gym leaders that when you enter the town or even before it, you get to meet them, and there's a little bit of it's like a side quest. Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
those always appeal to me more. They always make me feel like, oh, this is an RPG still. It's not just battle simulator. It's you're learning about this world and these characters and stuff. That always really appealed to me.
Mhm.
And some of the standouts relating to that, I thought, is I always liked Gen 2 right near the end of the last gym, which is the Dragon Gym. And in the Soul Silver remakes, you actually go with like Claire, I think her name is, and you
Mhm.
go to the training ground where she was trained, and you pass their trials, and then you fight her. And it's like a direct lead up because she's also friends with Lance, who is the champion, and it gives
Mhm.
it almost like it's like a prologue before you're about to face the Elite Four. I always like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, Another character I really like in the gym um, is Crash Awake, who's just like his gym is like just a wrestling like ring,
Mhm.
but it's all underwater and everything. I thought that was a really cool gimmick. Um, Most of the puzzles can range from fun to frustrating, and sometimes
Yeah.
I like them to be a little bit more frustrating. As a kid, obviously you get more annoyed, but Pokemon puzzles rarely ever get like too crazy. Although
Mhm.
Lieutenant Surge is still just because it's so random, it still kind of annoys me to this day. But that's what makes it memorable, right? Is it's got that thing where you're like, oh yeah, this one always takes a while. So stuff like that I always liked. Like any gym that the environment is formed around the type. Like sometimes, especially early on, it's just like a room.
Yeah.
Um, but where you have like you say the X and Y bug gem, when you have
Yeah.
like the even what was it? There was one where it's like oh yeah, there's like a runway one, right? In like Black and White, where it's like the gym leader is like a model, like she's a fashion model, and she's like a K-pop star or something, right? Like it's just she does everything, and you go in there and it's like an electric runway. I thought that was
Hmm.
really really cool. Anything that just it's a gym, but it also serves an actual like purpose. Like out
Yeah.
when they're not doing Pokemon battles, it's still like helping out the community a little bit. Like when's the homeless
Mhm.
shouter gym coming out? It's just like crazy bum Steve wants to battle. Like it's like whoa, Pokemon.
So good.
That's like one of the things I would like to see. So just
Yeah.
Pokemon just got real. It's just
Well, because I mean, like towns that have gyms, the gym is kind of like the thing that brings people into the town. It's arguably like one of the most important things there. So it makes sense that the gym would kind of be this kind of like hub for the town almost.
it's the tourist trap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just like he then have like the plot line of like the seedy mayor who's like, oh yeah, we gotta make sure our gym's like over leveled, so everyone needs to come here. Before it's like then the gym leader's like, no, it's like it's like a Christmas movie. It's like like just like Adam Sandler's like the gym leader, and he's like on the hard times. And I was like, oh, well, if we just refurbish it, we can really bring this town together. And like he falls in love. It's just like this is the kind of Pokemon content I want to see, where it just gets like super super real, like
Yeah.
uncomfortably so, because you'll still have like the equivalent of cockfighting, but it's like cute cockfighting, and it's just so much to dig in with Pokemon that it's endlessly entertaining once you look at it from that prism.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But with all that, then once we're going into the Geeky region, that will be our champion, Sid Part 2, is off gallivanting around the world. So we've been left in charge of the region, and we have to make two new gyms.
Oh
Uh,
shoot.
we have to make two new gyms, and we're like, oh, damn, have we got the time? Is the budget cuts? You know, oh, it's Team Rocket, like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys in the comments can make up the story if you want to, but this is the real deal, cats. This is what we're dealing with. So, first order of business, because we're all stupid and we let 10-year-olds beat us, we all have to pick one type.
Yeah.
Pick your poison. What's your type, Matt, and why?
It's not poison type, I'll tell you that. Um, that would probably be my wife's type, actually, poison or like ghost. I would say that my type would be water type.
Nice.
Water type is always the type that I always pick the water starter, always. Um, Water types are just what I've always been drawn to. Every fucking BuzzFeed Pokemon personality test says I'm water type. So, and every Avatar: The Last Airbender test says I'm either a waterbender or an airbender. So I gotta go with my gut. So yeah, water type for sure. I love growing up, I was always really into the water and oceans and swimming and things like that. So like I just always really had a fondness for just water in general. So water type has always been what I've leaned towards. So I think if I was going to be a gym leader, I would go with water type. Electric type was a close second, probably.
Mm-hmm. And what I think is cool about that is, I don't know about. We haven't talked too much about specifically what the things are gonna, so I don't know. But water type gyms I always found were really cool because even in the anime they always seem like the biggest because they had to have like enough room because the water
Right.
type Pokemon were always like huge. Like you got your Gyaradoses and your Wailords and everything. So like they felt like actual swimming pools or like water parks or what have you. Like they just go crazy with it. And it always kind of gave it a cool vibe because once you go into the water type gym, like compared to most other gyms where like people are just like standing around, a lot of the gym, like the people in the gym were like swimming around, like doing their own shit, and then you have
Yep.
to cross their path to meet them. Like even as far back as Misty, like you could probably argue that out of all the Gen 1 gyms, Misty's gym is the one that influenced future gyms the most because it's the only one that has a theme around the type. It's the only one that's just because that's all they could do is just pull. But it was enough of a difference compared to the 7 other rooms that it stood out. So no, I think water's a really cool pick. I don't think there's ever been a game that hasn't had a water type gym. It's just such a staple.
Yeah, I mean, water, because like, your water type, your grass type, your fire types, there are a lot more, like, for example, there are a lot more water types than there are, I don't know, fucking like steel types, water types, it's always a safe bet. There's always going to be new water types introduced. It's a very popular type of Pokemon. So it's one of those things where there's no shortage of water type Pokemon. So there's always going to be that water type gym. And it's when you're dealing with a series that's all about weaknesses and strengths, I think it's really easy to illustrate that simply with sort of your more basic elements. Water is better than fire. Fire defeats grass, things like that. If you're going to introduce that rock, paper, scissors kind of element to your turn-based game, it makes sense that you're always going to have, some of the basic kind of obvious ones that make sense, like water and fire and stuff like that. So I think water is also kind of not necessarily an easy, but I think there's a lot of different ways to theme a water gym. Like, I think if someone says, all right, you have to make a building that's themed around the idea that everyone inside of it is, using water type Pokemons and things like that, I think there's like so many different ways to go with that. So I think it's arguably kind of an easy, it's easy to get inspired and come up with a cool idea for that.
Mm-hmm. And I also think just in general, if you're looking at it from like an in-universe kind of perspective, right, is a lot of Pokemon, every region they're all different continents. They're all surrounded by water. There's no kind of like giant, there's no region so far at least except for Johto and Kanto, and even then they're both islands, where they're just like, all right, it's in America, where it's just this section is like Sinnoh, and then this section is there's like everyone, because a lot of them are just based off Japan until we got to Black and White, and even Black and White isn't America, it's an watered off portion of America. It makes sense that water types would be one of the things that are always prevalent, because no matter where you go, you're always in this kind of world surrounded by water. Thanks, Kyogre. Hashtag cancel Team Magma. What I think is interesting about that as well, just as well, when you said there's the majority of Pokemon are water types. Well, not majority, but they actually are one of the biggest types of, like, compared to like bug type or something, right? It's barely anything.
Yeah.
That's where all life comes from. I don't think that's where they actually get that idea from. Maybe, because they do tend to put a lot of thought into it, but we all started out in the sea, so it makes sense and that is the place that's most unexplored, so there is a kind of internal logic that in a quest to find them all, the ones we'd keep discovering would be in the sea.
For sure. Yeah, especially because, I mean, that's just the way the world is. I mean, there's so much of the deep ocean we haven't explored. So, and there's so many different real life creatures to get. A lot of people make fun of Game Freak from game to game. They're like, oh, they're getting stretched thin for Pokemon ideas. We got literally a garbage Pokemon or an ice cream Pokemon. Some people like those, some people defend those or whatever. But like when it comes to the ocean, we discover new deep sea dwelling creatures all the time. So there's no shortage of inspiration there for sure. So it's very easy to keep coming up with those designs that feel natural.
And I also think it's, just as an artist perspective, you're not limited by it has to have legs. It has to be able to walk on land. If you're designing a creature that lives in the ocean, you can make any single shape you want, and they do. You got a literal love heart that's just floating around in the ocean. So there's like, and it works. Like at the same time, you could also say, well, that could be a flying type as well. And yeah, they do generally tend to have Pokemon that just kind of hover. But mostly with flying types, they do try to give them some form of elevation, or at least some mystical form of elevation. Water
Right.
types, you can literally do whatever you want with them, be it more realistic or more surreal. So yeah, I think that's a really cool pick.
hmm And what about you? What is your gym type and
My
why?
my gen
Explain
type.
it.
I gotta go into deep detail with the
Oh
ocean
man.
man. um, my one is something that I've always had as a kid. And actually, we talked about this, and I mentioned one, and I suggested the other. Uh, Having more time to think about it, I've decided to go with the other because that's the one I have the more personal connection to. The other one was me like,
Sure.
wow, this is unique because we haven't had this one yet. Um,
Yeah.
but the one I'm going with is going to be Dragon. Uh,
Ooh.
Ever since I've been a small child, be it Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, fucking anything fictional that has a dragon in it, I instantly just I'm drawn to it. For some reason, I am just fascinated by dragons. I think they're the coolest shit. They're dinosaurs, but with wings, and they can shoot fire, and sometimes they talk. And it's like they have like, and they hoard gold. They're like bastards. It's like so cool, but then sometimes they're sweet, and they're like, dragons just are the shit. Dragons just are the
That's
coolest, one of the
cool.
coolest ideas of humanity. The fact, and it's kind of spooky, the fact that all over the world, nearly every mankind culture has a myth of a dragon, despite
hmm
not being able to be in contact with each other. So they've got different ideas of what it would be, but the common idea of the giant fire-breathing reptile that can fly always seems to be like this primal conscious thing that we have. And I'm just like,
hmm
there's something so cool about that. There's something so interesting, the power of that, and like the idea of, I don't know, just like myth, but it's grounded in a way where it's literally just combining a thing you can see. Like you can see lizards in the real world. You know dinosaurs were a thing. You can see
hmm
how things fly. Like you look at bats or something, right?
Yeah.
It's a myth formed of pieces of other things that we see, so it gives it that little bit of like, oh well, maybe,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
Like so, that's always appealed to me about dragons. In Pokemon, Dragon type is kind of suits my playstyle the best. Where it's just like attack,
Yeah.
attack until it falls. I'm not one of
hmm
those. There are so many different playstyles you can do in Pokemon. It's a very surprisingly in-depth battle system, especially once you start looking into the competitive area. And there are elements of that I'll talk about once we get into the team. But genuinely, I do like to have the kind of Tony Stark mentality of bigger stick. And
Yeah.
there's no bigger stick in the Pokemon world than dragon types. So they
For
appeal
sure.
to me for that.
I love it. That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of really fantastic dragon type designs, and just great dragon type Pokemon. Dragon type, but there aren't that many dragon types in the games, really.
Exactly right. Which I think
Yeah,
also
they,
helps
which
their
which
appeal.
yeah, it makes them feel like kind of, and most of the ones that are there, they're not that common. They feel like these kind of rare Pokemon that are like almost legendaries in and of themselves a lot of the times.
It's very much that kind of idea where, and that's almost makes it daunting when you want to make a gym about them, because by necessity almost you have to be late game. We're not going into too detail about like we're just doing the full team of six just so we can have a more
Mm,
in-depth idea. But logistically speaking, dragon types take so much longer to evolve. They take so much. They've got much lower XP gains. So they take longer to actually get them to a place where they can be powerful. And
hmm
that can put a lot of people off sometimes. It's like, oh man, I like Hydreigon, but level 60 and it's not getting anything. I just so much of a grind, I don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
for me, that's always kind of been the appeal of just like, it makes sense. Like, yeah, it's a freaking dragon. Of course you'd have to put more time to get it to like you. Like, it's like, this is literal death beast. Like, I think a caterpillar is going to be a lot more susceptible to training than like a fire-breathing dragon. Like it just makes sense that you would have to be more patient with them, and that the lore around them, as a result of that, of the fact that even in verse they're seen as like these kind of creatures you have to be a special kind of trainer to use. Like I said, the thing with Claire, that always appealed to me as well, because it ties it very nicely to, you know, in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where like you go to the town where like the Ho-Oh, the statue of Ho-Oh is, and you go there. I think the gym there is like, it's not even a gym, it's just like a thing where there's the whole group of Eevee girls, but they've got every evolution.
Right.
I love stuff like that because that's a cultural thing. Like that's like, oh yeah, we're the town that is in love with the Eevees. We celebrate the Eevees. They're like our patron. I love stuff like that. I love when Pokemon gets fucking like weird. I just like that's like like some other kid is like in the Let's Go universe is like, I'm gonna put my Eevee with a mohawk, and then over in Johto these guys are like like they're praying down to an Eevee. It's Eevee. It's just so fucked up, man. But it's like it's so cool at the same time. So yeah. Dragons are like the most with that until you actually get to actual legendaries, and you can't have a gym of legendaries yet. That's what Ian's team's gonna be.
Yeah.
But for just the sake of this video, dragon types are fucking baller, and that's why I chose them. And that is also why, as a result of them being so baller, for location I had to pick, and just kind of theme of the gym, I had to pick one that matched their status. So, if you've played the Gen 4 games, Sinnoh especially, if I had to pick a region that already exists, I would pick Sinnoh, because I think it looks the most like a Norse area. It's just always snowing. It's horrible. It's freezing. When your main character has to wear a scarf, you know it's cold as balls. We've got like these great big mountains, and I would have the town or whatever be located on near the top of one of these mountains. It's kind of an older place. It's seen better days. The climate's gotten colder, so a lot of the people have moved down south. But genuinely, there's still a little bit of a history there. It's a very steeped in tradition town. It's a very, once you go there, all the buildings look older. If I had to choose even, I would make it so like the Pokemon centers and stuff that's around there are like the models used from previous gens to show that it's kind of been untouched by time a little bit. Like it's not in the Dark Ages, it's still got all the technology, like the PCs and stuff, but it's clearly outdated compared to the rest of the region. So all of that would be, and then the big piece of the town would be like just the very top of a castle, but it's covered in snow, and it's been like buried. So like, this town has been built upon just like ground that's been sunken. And this old castle has been here from centuries ago, and it's just buried in snow. And there's like a very small opening at the top that lets you know it's much bigger. It's like the peak of an iceberg. But down below is where you go. So you go in the castle, and it's just pitch black and full of ice. So yes, it's actually horrible to play. Everyone's least favorite gym. Actually, like, cancel this developer. So you go in, and you're slipping and sliding, and it's all ice. Now, there's two options. If you have a fire type or a dragon type, there is a cheat in this gym. I don't know how HMs work anymore, because I haven't been playing Sword and Shield, but I know they've got rid of them, basically, right? Like, the Pokemon can just do the abilities now. You don't need... they're not permanent moves anymore. So this would be kind of a similar principle where if you have a fire type already, you'll be able to do the puzzle of this gym earlier. But if you don't have a dragon or fire type, this is kind of like proving that you're worthy to fight the gym. So you have to get inventive. And how you do that is you're in pitch black, you're slipping and sliding, until you hear the din, like a trainer challenges you. Like they find you, you have to be running around in the dark for a little bit until that thing hits you. You battle this trainer, and once you beat the trainer, if you don't have a fire type or a dragon type, they'll ignite the room for you. So then the room will light up, and it'll just be this. It will look like this old Arthurian castle, and it's just like the floor is all iced, and there's like a wall of ice to the next room. So this, if you beat this trainer, they'll be like, okay, you can pass, and they'll melt the ice for you if you don't have a fire or a dragon type. So once you go down through there, the remaining of this puzzle would be like an icy slope through blackness, where you keep descending on ice, very much like there'll be little rocks, there'll be little suits of armor that you'll hit against, like stop your momentum and like realign yourself. That'll be pitch black, except for some few flickering blue flame candle lights, just for mood lighting. But they'll be like, you know that game, you know in Sonic Adventure, when you're in the Echidna like cave, and it's like black except for like little lights that illuminate
Do
it.
I know in Sonic Adventure?
Look. Oh, in your
Yes.
arrogance. Yes, I do. And it's like that Chad meme when it's just like, do you know? We know.
Yeah, no, I follow.
So that's that. And as you go, to get through these doors, you'll have to fight the trainers. And once you beat them, you have to find them first. But once you beat them, they'll go and they'll open the pathway to the next room for you. Again, if you already have a dragon or fire type, you can skip a lot of this. But there will still be some trainers that don't actually ignite it. They're just assholes who will be there to fight you. So you'll still kind of like unavoidable. So you still have you'll still get a little bit of a challenge, but because it'll be one of the later gyms. But it won't be anything like ridiculous. Like there is a shortcut if people want to. I always like having stuff like that as well, where it's like for speedruns, and like people are like, oh well, I've played this before, I don't want to do this again. They're just like, all right, do, quick. So I wanted to include that in the layout. So you go all the way to the bottom, and then there's a descending staircase, and you go down to the descending staircase, and then on this old throne is this old man, long white hair, kind of like a Jiraiya looking motherfucker from Naruto. That's like my biggest inspiration for this gym leader is like Pokemon Jiraiya, but for dragons instead of frogs. So he's on this throne, and he challenges you to a battle once you've made it all the way down there. So it will be like very hazy blue lights from like the flames, and old English like beaten up castle, kind of like Castlevania with blue mood lighting instead of like yellow and red. And that would be my gym layout. That would be the fallen castle that has a bit of lore. And if you want to go super extra as well, I'd have like once you beat the gym, it gets fully illuminated. So when you make your way back up, which is like a new staircase has been, it'll be like a winding staircase where it'll have paintings of like lore of like these were the old people of this castle, of this old Pokemon region that has long been fallen. Like, this used to be a capital city and now it's been forgotten by everyone, but the people still living here love the history and everything, and they're a very close-knit community because it's so freaking cold. It's like all we have is cold and death and stories. We might as well be nice to each other. And that will be it. That will be the gym. That will be what the dragons are here as well. As it would be in a place where dragons used to thrive a lot more, and the reason why they're rare is because a lot of them have died out. Because they're like, you know how like Pokemon's not opposed to species going extinct, right? There is a whole genre of fossil Pokemon. So the idea, I like the idea that dragons are kind of the last remnants of that. That they're the ones that have survived, but they're on the way out. And this would be the town that used to be thriving from that, like 500 or 1,000 years ago or whatever. And now the dragon Pokemon, this is like the last refuge where they're really concentrated. So if you want to go around outside the gym, it's also like a great farming spot because everyone knows how annoying it is to try and catch like Dratinis or shit. This would be like the spawn rates would be incredible, and it's only this game has this one place where if you want to grind dragon types, this is the place where they've just got like every dragon type can just be found here. That's not a legendary, barring a few region exclusives. And that have you would be my grand gym.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty fucking dope. That's epic as shit, is what it is. It's like some fantasy epic nonsense.
Ah, thank you very much.
I dig it. I love it. You clearly put a lot of thought into this. I feel like this is not the first time Alfie has sat down and been like, man, how would I design my ultimate super hardcore fantasy Pokemon gym?
What? Come on. You think I got some kind of geek for fun over here? Like, what's this? I'll have you, sir, that your accusations are entirely founded in truth. And this is how I spend my time. So, maybe this is why I had such a hard time trying to get my law degree. It's because I should have been thinking about not Pokemon gyms.
Shit. That's cool. That's very cool. I don't know that mine tops it, but I am kind of excited. I am excited about mine.
Shoot yours all over my face, neck, and chest, man. I'm really pumped to see what you got.
Y'all ever heard of the Shadow over Innsmouth? Because that's pretty much where my headspace was at as soon as I decided to do a water gym. One of my favorite things about water is that water is mysterious and it hides things. And there are things in the deep that we still can't even fathom. In fact, like almost every white girl on the planet, I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was a little kid because I thought it was really cool.
Same.
So, yeah, so I picture a fishing town covered in smog. Not smog, but, fog from the ocean that rolls in. A town that, like your town, has a lot of history, that has maybe this love-hate relationship with the water. They rely on the ocean that they live on for fishing and things like that, but they also have this healthy respect for it because it can be, obviously storming. There are massive Pokemon out there. So I would want a gym and a town that really leans into the mystery of the deep and the mystery of great bodies of water and the almost fear that can come from that. Because I think it's really easy to lean into the scary stuff in Pokemon with like Ghost type and things like that. But I want to take something that's real life, which is kind of that fear of the unknown, and I want to bring that into the Pokemon world, and really lean into some of the, like Tentacruel is basically a giant fucking kraken, and I kind of want to lean into that and into that kind of fear and into that kind of scary vibe that these huge bodies of water can give off. And so I always pictured kind of not a rundown, but kind of a slightly rundown fishing hamlet, sort of like in the H.P. Lovecraft Innsmouth story. This sort of almost creepy fishing town where everyone's kind of insular, and they're, of course, welcoming to having more people in, but, there may be a little skittish of new people and things like that. And I think that would just be a cool, interesting vibe. And it's, I always wanted to kind of see, I don't know. See, it's weird because this is probably not what like I would do if it were really me. Because I'm a very easygoing person. But if I'm just like designing it, like objectively, like standing back and I'm just like making a game, this is probably how I would do it. The gym itself would, of course, be situated in the center of town. And I think what I would lean into is the fog. So I would actually picture kind of a river, like a huge, we're talking like a huge building. And inside, and I hate to say it this way because I feel like you'll lose some of the dramatic tension, but inside is basically a lazy river that goes around the perimeter of the whole gym. And in the middle of the lazy river, in the middle of the circle, is the big like pool with like platforms on it. That's like the big, the big arena. The lazy river and everything inside of it kind of has some some kind of rock features around it, things like that, almost to make it feel like someone just took an outdoor thing and put it indoors and just built walls around it. But it's all coated in fog. The river itself is sort of a maze. There's one channel that goes all the way around it, but then there are channels that branch off that can either go off to other challengers and then meet back with the main channel. But there's one channel that branches off and eventually goes to the middle, which is where you get off your raft or your little boat or whatever you're going to be on, probably like a little canoe that you have to canoe through the water. Mm-hmm. There's one channel that'll get you to the middle, and then you get off your canoe. And so as you defeat trainers, the fog begins to lift. And I kind of like what you did with the ice. So I'm going to steal that. If you have certain types of Pokemon, you could potentially use different moves to clear up the mist early, maybe find a shortcut, things like that. But that's the basic idea. You would have a creepy, foggy river. You'd have to get in a little canoe and make your way through the winding turns of the river until you eventually get to the center. And the only way to clear the fog is to either have a Pokemon that can do it for you or to battle trainers who will then lift the fog as you get through it. The town outside would be a harbor town situated right off the ocean. They would talk a lot about the heavy fog that comes in every morning. It's always overcast. It's never shiny. And everyone there has this deep kind of respect and almost fear for the Pokemon of the deep. I think that would be the shit. And that'd be kind of my, if I was going to, again, I don't know that that's what I would do if I was the real person in universe. Cause like I said, I feel like I'm too easygoing and nice for that.
No, this is just where your true colors come out. It's like, you know what?
So that's even better. Like the whole town is really standoffish and shit. And then like you get to the middle of the gym, and I'm just like, oh hey, what's going on?
Yeah,
you ready to fight? You ready to go?
But
yeah, let's go.
But like it's too nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's too exactly.
So it's just like, yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think that's such a, I didn't even think about that, but that's exactly the kind of shit I love, because normally it's always, yeah, Game Freak does do that, but it's always the ghost and psychic types.
Yeah.
That's not the only kind of terror you can do. Like, no, that's such a good, yeah, war's fucking scary, man.
And I've always kind of thought that, like, there's even there's a whole subreddit dedicated to it, to like the fear of like giant ass things in the water. And while I don't suffer from that phobia, I find it like aggressively fascinating. So I would just lean into that if I was designing like a city on the coast with a gym that kind of leans into the fog and the mystery, and I just think it's the coolest shit. So that's what I would do.
You'd almost want to make that, if you're talking like game design, and that feels like that would be the gym closest to where the legendary is of the game.
Oh yeah.
Like if it was like
have
a
some
Kyogre
water type legendary.
Yeah. Like that would be the gym that you go to before the evil team plot happens. Like once you beat that gym, that's when all shit starts hitting the fan. So you get to use some of that same assets, where like the vibe, and you talk to the people of the town, and they tell you the legends of like the legendary there, and you get like a Cthulhu-esque looking Pokemon legendary. That would be so dope, man. Why isn't this a thing? That would be so cool.
Know.
I also think it's really funny. Two working class fucking kids here. We would just been like, yeah, both our towns are like poor. Everyone's starving. Everyone's miserable, and like everyone's kind of like, are they possessed? Are they being ruled by the Pokemon? Like everything's broken and run down, and nothing works right. Everything's out of order. It's just like Game Freak's like, why is like let's some music, it's a carnival, maybe. And we're like, no, it's broken. It's like, god damn it. Fucking guys. It's like Peggy free.
But I mean, that shit's kind of like, I mean, like in every game though, there's always something. Like there's fucking Lavender Town.
Yeah.
There's the like creepy ghost girl, I think, in Sun and Moon.
There's
always
There's the
Yeah,
gal who
there's
like committed suicide in
yeah,
fucking black and white, like on the bridge.
yeah.
There's the one in X and Y who you go to a room and then they walk up behind you and you can't move and then they disappear and it's like
Mhm.
what? So yeah,
And
go
I think
lean into it.
those moments like stand out to us as players. And so I think when we look back on it, we want to kind of create those moments for anyone who would be playing like our theoretical town and stuff.
And even if this was like again, say this was a hypothetical region, I think this would be super cool because you'd be able to have our one's kind of like a parallel to each other, where your one is closer to the water and closer to life and seemingly like water type, yeah, more friendly type than dragons generally, right? In
Hmm.
how Pokemon's seen. Um, Whereas my one, dragons are more vicious and everything, but mine's like, oh yeah, but this is still a very nice and welcoming town. It's just kind of accepted that its time has moved on and like it's here to help you pass. Like, so old man gym leader, help the new
Hmm.
generation. Like, take what you learned here and move on. It's okay. Don't worry about us. Um, like you'd almost want to have like in the middle of our two gyms like this really bustling city where like it's like metropolis where like everything's to the future and to the max, and then these two different representations of the past where one's terrifying and will
Hmm.
absorb you and suck you down, which is another kind of fear of the past, and then this
Yep.
one's kind of just like, oh no, but you can burn the ice, you can get through it and you can find the way out.
Hmm.
No, I think that I don't know how this worked, but we just found like a thematic parallel of like game
I love it.
design here. That's fantastic. With all of that said, though, I think
Yeah.
it's time to get into our Poke Boys and Poke Gals and Poke
Woo.
non-binaries because there are a few of them as well.
Sure.
What is your first Pokemon, Matt?
All right. I'm gonna lean into this a little bit because I kind of assembled my team before I thought about the gym and stuff.
I did that
Because I
too.
just I just kind of looked at water types and I was just like, what are the water types that have always spoke to me that I've always gravitated to? Um, Spoiler alert, a lot of them are third gen because fucking third gen.
Too
Um,
much water.
it's so much, just the right amount of water. Um, Fucking love third gens so goddamn much. Um, so I'm actually gonna lean, but I think there's a good opportunity. I'm gonna lean into this whole the town's kind of creepy, and the gym leader is like almost too happy and nice. And so my first Pokemon, coincidentally, one of my all-time favorite water types, Ludicolo.
Jesus.
Fucking Ludicolo. You're gonna go through this creepy ass town, go through this creepy ass fog, go through all these trainers who are just kind of like weird in their behavior, and then you get to the gym leader. He smiles, he says hi, and he tosses a Ludicolo at you. And that Ludicolo is going to seem like the strangest Ludicolo. I love Ludicolo. I love his stupid, ridiculous design. Um, I love his stupid, ridiculous face. And I also kind of looked at it as I don't want every water type I have to be pure water type. I want to mix it up. So I want to have, a water grass, a water whatever. So Ludicolo has always been that Pokemon I really like for no particular reason. And so that's why Ludicolo is first on my team.
I mean, I think that's. I didn't expect that, but hell yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'm all for it. I think that's
Dude,
dope.
when Ludicolo showed up in Detective Pikachu, I lost it. I was just so happy. I was just like, yes. Just like Ludicolo.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So Ludicolo is like my favorite Pokemon that I have no excuse for. I don't know.
You don't need
I
an
just like
excuse.
him.
Just look at him. Look at his
Yeah, I
face.
just love him. I
He's
love him.
born with Marguerite, like the shaky things.
Yep. Hmm.
So
I
and
just love him.
they're part of his biology. He was born to dance. Yeah.
Yeah, he has like a fucking sombrero, and I'm like, maybe I should find this kind of offensive, but like I don't know. I can't explain it. I just love him.
Yeah.
So,
He's a
anyways.
cutie. For my first one, not so cute, but they're all cute in their own way. And that is going to be Dragapult. And he is a new Pokemon from Sword and Shield. And the reason why I chose him is he's just got a really cool design. Uh,
Sure.
Although the one on my team is female. B, she's just absolutely ridiculously fast, and I think that's
Hmm.
always cool to have like a first Pokemon is someone who can get the first hit. I think that's always
Sure.
good, a good psychological way against the player to make them think this is going to be a tough battle if they get hit first. Um, so, and the most important reason why I chosen for this thing is she's Dragon Ghost type. Um, and being a Dragon Ghost type, but the first Pokemon you find from this old castle, it
Hmm.
kind of sets the stage that you're discovering something. As you're fighting, you're almost relearning about history. So as you beat each dragon, it will get more and more relevant as to what this person, what this gym leader used to be in their youth almost. Like Dragapult almost could have been another dragon type they had that passed away, and now their ghost still trains with them and stuff. Like all of that, I really love. So Dragapult is my first. Who's your second?
Cool. My second is a little bit more what you would expect from a creepy ass gym filled, with a surrounded by a dark town. My second is Sharpedo, because fuck you, third gen. Third gen is life. So my second is gonna be Sharpedo. Again, mostly personal reasons for me. I just really love Sharpedo. Sharks are important to me. I like sharks, so I like Pokemon. So Sharpedo. Sharpedo, he's going to be my water dark type. He's going to be my fast heavy hitter. He's going to be the aggressive one on the team who comes out swinging. Um, and he is again following suit of I wanted to probably have mostly non-pure water types, just to sort of really get the breadth of water type creatures out there. So after going with something cute and fun, I wanted to follow up with something that really emphasizes the terror and the predatory nature of some of the creatures in the water. So Sharpedo would be my next one up.
That's really cool. Actually, we'll have something to talk about later on in my team. But for number two, my second one is the first time. Hopefully, your team takes a big damage, and that is Salamance.
Ooh,
Salamance
nice.
has a really really cool design. He's the one that looks the most like a dragon, and I also really love his story as a Pokemon of the Pokemon who really wanted it to fly. So it
Hmm.
trained and trained and trained until it grew wings. I think that's such a cool idea for an evolution tree. Uh,
Hmm.
and it kind of goes with the feeling of like an older person who's learned all the ways, and this is your chance to learn and grow from this. So Salamence and the fact it's just busted. Like Salamence has always been a really strong Pokemon. So again, this would be a Pokemon that, unless you're prepared, will kick your ass. And again, just look good doing it because Salamence again, very again typical design, very simple, but streamlined. It's got like an elegance to it because it's so
Yep.
streamlined. So yeah, Salamence is my second one.
Cool. My third Pokemon, we're going to be going from the horrific predatory creatures of the deep, and now we're going to be focusing on the beauty of the ocean. So next one up is Milotic, because
Ah,
Milotic is love. Milotic is life. Milotic is, first of all, gorgeous, incredibly gorgeous in design. Mine would, I guess, female. Why not? She's gorgeous, absolutely incredible looking. Really kind of brings that mystery of the sea. Because I love all of her Pokedex entries because they're always like she's so beautiful that like you can't even your anger and your desire to fight almost kind of dies down because you're just in awe of this creature. And also which I really like because I like when like a Pokemon's like Pokedex entry reflects something about their actual physical nature, because Milotic has a pretty high special defense. So if you're coming at her with any sort of non-physical attacks, she's actually pretty good at getting through them. So the idea that a creature that has very high special attack high special defense is actually kind of you almost don't want to attack it because it's so gorgeous and you're transfixed by it. I really like that. So I would want to do that harsh turn from seeing the Sharpedo to then coming across this majestic water being. So yeah.
Milotic's actually one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah,
In my
Milotic's amazing.
in my in-game teams, they're always normally my big MVP, like for defense. Like if you get a
Hmm.
Milotic with like really good special defense and really good defense, and you just put like a leftovers on them, is it cruel? They're not beating that. It's like you hit away forever and then just recover, recover, recover. It's kind of scummy, and I love her for it. So yeah, Milotic's a bad bitch. So I respect that choice heavy. For my one
Yeah.
is another kind of deep Pokemon, and it's not a water type, but it very much does live in the ocean. It looks like it feels like it would be at home in that environment, and that is Dragalge. And that's from X and Y. It's Poison Dragon
Mm.
type. The
Yeah.
reason why I go with Dragalge is because I didn't, as much as I am like power, power, power. I like to have a Pokemon that's the outlier. I like to have a Pokemon that comes at you a different way, and this is kind of my status effects. Chad. This is the one who's going to poison your whole team, who's going to burn your whole team, and throw toxic spikes and just weaken you. So you'll already be going in to fight the big boys, softened up. It's not going to last
Hmm.
long. It's quite a glass cannon, but it's there to basically uh, stab you just right in the middle before you go to face like the last half of the team. So you're going into it weak. Your best Pokemon that you've been using. Like this is also what I wanted to have. Is I wanted to have a Pokemon that would stop spammy, scummy players. So if someone walked into my team with like a Fairy type and was just gonna sweep, Dragalge is immune to Fairy types. So this is who would. Obviously, most actual players won't have a problem just switching out. But if it was like a kid, I know I've run into a couple of things that time where that outlier, where you don't know what type that
Hmm.
Pokemon is, and it's not super effective anymore. It's like the most scary thing in the world. It's like I had one strategy, and it's failing. So I like to have that Pokemon, the Pokemon who's immune to the typical weaknesses of the type. I think most gym leaders should actually have that game design wise, just to make the battles a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that's what Dragalge is there for. And I love the design. It's like seaweed dragonfish, but as a Pokemon, seahorse kind of deal. And I think that looks really really cool.
Love it. Um, yeah, I always forget that. I always forget that Drago exists. He's fucking creepy. I love him.
Mhm.
For my next Pokemon. All right, you got through tank number one. Let's bring out the next tanky Pokemon.
Oof.
The ground shakes. The arena embiggens itself. You find yourself moving backwards. The pool gets even bigger. I toss up my Pokeball. A fucking Wailord comes out.
Jesus. The
I promise
biggest of boys.
I promise this is my last third gen Pokemon. Um, I love having a fucking tank on my team. And I found that growing up, some of my biggest difficulties were with the really tanky people. You know, like Norman and his normal type gym. They're all like normal types are all fucking tanks, and it just takes forever. Or Whitney and her mill tank that just keeps taking the hits. So I also as we get into the second half of the battle, I want to bring something out that's a real mountain to get over. So I want to pull out Wailord. In addition to that, Wailord kind of represents the fear of the largest things lurking under the ocean, and just the immense size of it. I think is because Wailord's really harmless looking. It's kind of adorable, but I think if you saw one in real life, it'd be like seeing a whale up close in real life. Just you're not necessarily prepared for the immense size of what you're about to see. I just always think that's cool. And Wailord, anytime I can get a Wailord, I'm going to because
Uh,
I love that bastard.
no, I
He's
think
great.
it's one of those things, right, where you look at like wildlife documentaries, and you see whales. You're like, oh, they're so pretty. They're like gentle giants, and they're moving so calmly, and they don't even eat sentient things. They eat very tiny things, and they're so big and lovely, like the himbos of the deep.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're very much right. Is if you're in the ocean, and then a shadow blocks out the sun.
Oh.
There's a kind of primal ape-like internal, my brain was not conditioned to evolve to deal with something this big.
Yep.
This should not be. That is around there. That I think, no, you're right. That is very. It kind of deals with like very much you're being influenced by Lovecraft in your gym design. Wailord is kind of the idea where it's not malevolent. It's very nice looking. And it's probably very kind, but it's so big. It's innocence, and it's almost scarier when something doesn't consider you like even a thing, because you're so small. Whereas like a Sharpedo is like coming for you for food, right? But it respects you. It has a relationship with you. It knows what you are. Wailord just sees you as just dust. It's so big, and that's kind of like a more psychological, philosophical fear. So no, Wailord's fucking dope.
I love Wailord. Yep.
For me though, I'm about to throw some hands with the Goku of the team, and that is Komomo, which is dragon fighting.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And this is just a beast. The fact that you could have a dragon that's got like knuckle dusters and it's like it's stanced up like it's ready to fight just makes me really want to see someone do like a fan animation, like putting it over like Bruce Lee clips with like nunchucks and stuff. Like that's really cool to me.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And I also just team wise putting him after Draugr once you've been hit with the status effects and everything, is where like stuff like close combat and like poison jab and everything is just gonna destroy you. It's gonna just come at you really, really strong. And also from a point of like we're moving through history, Kimono kind of looks like a Ronin. He's got like samurai type armor. He's got like the classic Japanese like headdress. He looks like he would have been used in wars as like this battle mount, because he's got like kind of armor plating all over him.
Yeah.
So that
his stance, you could easily like get kind of on
you could see someone riding it.
Yeah.
So all of that I thought was fantastic and fit perfectly, as well as just again, it's nice to have a dragon type who can, because dragons, as cool as they are, they do often fall. A lot of them is when building a dragon type team. A lot of people saying like, because Pokemon teams have like monotype battles in like tournaments and stuff. Dragon type's one of the most infamously hard to make because they've got much smaller move pools. A lot of them have like Draco Meteor, Dragon Flames, Fire Blast and stuff. It's very hard to get dragon types to actually break that mold and can be versatile. So I thought about that a lot. So throwing Kimono on then just gives me that extra little bit of like, oh, okay, if they've got other things, they're not just going to sweep the whole team. Then they're going to have to be prepared for a lot of different types. So like you got your ghosts, you got your fightings, you got your stuff, and like all of that kind of combined, I think makes a nice little core before we go to the last two. So yeah, Kimono, Goat, Momo, I guess. Yeah, moving on. Ignore that.
Very cool. I've always really liked fighting types in general.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And it's always cool to get an unusual type combination like dragon fighting thing, like combinations that only have like maybe one or two Pokemon. Like those are always really fun.
For sure.
For my next Pokemon, the next two are really going to be they're classics. Hard to not put them on here. As overused as my boy is, I gotta have a Gyarados on my team. He's got to be there. He just has to.
Quick question. Shiny or normal?
I actually prefer the normal, personally.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to know. I think Gyarados is the only Pokemon I have to say that with.
Yeah. I love Gyarados. I feel like everyone loves Gyarados. It's one of those things. It's just like everyone loves Gyarados. First of all, he's obviously a big, heavy hitter. He's got Intimidate, which I love. He comes out the gate, and you're just like, fuck. That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about him. He's one of my favorites because of his evolution from Magikarp, which has just always been hilarious to me, even as a child. And of course, I love dragons like you do, but I've always actually really found myself fascinated by like Eastern style dragons, the ones that are like flying serpents. Like I think those are like really cool, and not enough people do them in like dragon art. Like Western dragons are cool, don't get me wrong. Like D&D style dragons. But I really like Eastern dragons, like these long flying snakes that just seem to fly because they can. I gotta give it to Gyarados, especially if you're gonna do a horror of the deep. You've got to have a big giant sea serpent that can also fucking fly, because it's not a dragon type, but it's a water flying type. So I think there's just you can't not include him. I love Gyarados. He usually makes it on my team if I'm doing a first gen playthrough. One of my all-time favorites. So I had to put him on here.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I think Gyarados is just one of those things was such a good design for why Pokemon appeals to people. Why the whole thing was like making it is again inspired by a mythic dragon, but nothing really looks like a Gyarados. It's got such a unique color scheme. It's got the big lips and like the crown at the top of the head, and the fact that it comes from a freaking Magikarp. Like all of it's just got such a weird vibe to it that makes it kind of fascinating, and it's always very associated with legends, so it fits your gym theme really well.
Exactly. Yep.
For me though, it's about time that you had your Sharpedo. This is Sharpedo's dad. That's Garchomp.
Yes.
Sharpedo's dad. The
Fucking
land shark Pokemon. Garchomp is my favorite Pokemon of all time. Garchomp is for a kid who grew up playing Gen 3, and then as he actually got more into Pokemon, got into Gen 4 was like my first like proper game where I was a little bit older, I had more things and I understood a little bit more, and that was the one I put so much time into. I was obsessed with sharks, I was obsessed with dragons. So combine the two and making them look so cool and be so strong where it's broken as heck. That's just all me. Garchomp is the shit. Garchomp is the coolest. My only other rival for first Pokemon is Pachirisu, and I like it for entirely different reasons, because it's a cute little electric squirrel. But I can't have Pachirisu or Dragon Gym, so Garchomp has to come here. If I ever make a team, I'll always have to have Pachirisu or Garchomp on it in every single game. I will not complete the game unless I have that option. There's eternal bond, so that's my most personal. But also, again, it feels like it's an ancient beast. It's got its teeth all over it. It lives in the ground, and it's dragon as well. It feels the most. And if we were gonna do megas, this would also be the one that mine would be mega. Because gym leaders don't have mega stones, we're not doing that. But like post game, maybe if you come back to this gym after you beat the gym leaders, you'll get to fight this gym again where Garchomp is now Mega Garchomp, because I think Mega Garchomp looks really cool as well.
For sure.
So all of that combined is just Garchomp is the shit, and if I didn't have him, I'd cry many, many tears. So Garchomp is my second to last Pokemon.
Oh damn, that's what's up. Garchomp is fucking awesome. Garchomp is definitely one of my favorite of the dragon types. I think another one of my favorite dragon types, Flygon, is also Gen 3.
Yes, I agree.
Is Garchomp Gen 3 or 4?
Garchomp's Gen 4. Flygon's Gen 3.
Garchomp. Okay, yep. See, it's been a while. But yeah, fucking awesome. My last Pokemon, the only one that I'm gonna say would be shiny, because I really like the shiny of this Pokemon. The last one, it's coming. It's another classic. It's got to be Tentacruel.
You had to do
it to him. Tentacruel. I had to do it to him. I had to. The reason I was shiny, I like shiny Tentacruel a lot, because he's, instead of the blue is more of a purple blue, and he's got like green instead of red on the orbs. So he gives off this like creepy, otherworldly.
He's like the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. He just gives off a much creepier vibe to me. And if you're gonna do a Cthulhu Horrors of the Deep inspired gym where minus Ludicolo, most of your Pokemon are about either the mystery, the majesty, or the horrors of the deep ocean, you gotta go with Tentacruel, giant kraken ass motherfucker. And he would be the last challenge that you would have to face. I don't, it's funny. I don't know that any of the Pokemon I've listed, I don't even know that I have like an all-time favorite Pokemon. But I just, I love water types, and I think Tentacruel would be how I would bring up the rear, because Tentacruel is probably one of my favorites. I just love his giant kraken face.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I think you had to, right? Just because of the everything to your thing. It's the most Lovecraft Pokemon. Deservedly so, even. Like, you'd almost want to make it like the anime where it's like the giant Tentacruel.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, makes sense. I think it's a pretty diverse and deadly team you've got. Like, legitimately, like you wouldn't do too wrong, like that, because most Pokemon gyms aren't actually like viable.
No.
And we've both gone for more of a fun route, but yeah, so far like this actually legitimately would be a challenge if you didn't know what you were doing going into, because again, it's not just all pure water types. There's a good range of different styles and fights. And if you've got Ludicolo, you've even got the rain on your side, because he's got like the rain effect, so everything's already going to be water powered up. That's when you go in there. So no, I think that's fantastic. For me, you've beat the dragons, and I'll even, this is another bit, like if I get to be nerdy about it, the Garchomp would be the strongest Pokemon. It would be the highest level one.
Sure.
So the last one wouldn't be the highest level, but it would be the most symbolic, and it would be the one, your final challenge. I would say like this would be this trainer's Pikachu. This would be this trainer's Pokemon that's never in a Pokeball and is always kind of around him, and the one he's known since childhood. And that is the very first Dragonite.
Oh, Dragonite's so good. Dragonite is best boy.
Dragonite is best boy. He's kind of dopey. He's
Love
so
him.
cute. He looks like the best hug in the whole world. And he's the first ever dragon type.
Yep.
I've always loved Dragonite ever since I was a kid. It's so cool to me that they made the like a lot. Dragonite kind of gets shit on sometimes by the Pokemon fandom, because yes, Dragonair does look really cool and it looks so different when he evolves into Dragonite. But what I like about Dragonite is it feels like it's an enlightened Pokemon. It's never angry.
Right.
It's always chill. And again, going with Jim Lee's personalities, you've gone for all these angry, raging dragons, and maybe in his youth he was a soldier, and he was someone who's fighting. But now that he's old and the castle's fallen and everything's kind of gone to thing, he's found peace. He's found that Jiraiya kind of like enlightenment, where he's just super chill, kind of a little bit pervy, maybe, just goofy. And that's what Dragonite is it's showing you that the dragons aren't just raging beasts. They can be chill, they can be friends, and they can be lovable, but they're still really, really strong. Like, Dragonite is still a really strong Pokemon. But I'd want to make it, this last one would be, by the time you get here, you've already gone through the gauntlet, so you're probably going to win already if you've made it this far. But this is more like kind of this is where the battle would switch from you're going to be beaten to a very well, like when the enemy in the anime accepts their defeat and it's kind of just like a fun sparring battle. That's what Dragonite is. Dragonite comes in when it's just like, now they're just having fun, and Dragonite gets beaten and it gives you the gym badge, but Dragonite's still around. Is like, well, we'll rematch. Like, that's what Dragonite represents to me. Is you've gone through the history of Dragon type Pokemon in Pokemon. I've made sure to pick a very diverse range from multiple regions. And this is, you have to end on the very fast, to me.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. I love it. Dragonite, because he always feels like there's more to him than what, like, whenever you see a Dragonite, you always get the sense that there's more going on in its mind than it lets on. it always seems like one of the most intelligent Pokemon
Like
in a
a
lot
gentle
of ways.
master. Like it looks like it can kick your
Yeah.
ass, but it,
Oh
but
yeah.
it gives like almost like a Goku vibe, where it's kind of silly until like its eyes narrow, and you're like, oh shit. Like so, there's the one simple art style change can make it look intimidating, which has always appealed to me.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
Very
it.
cool.
That's it. Surprisingly, like again, this has been quite a bit of a longer episode. We were like before we were recording, we are like, is this going to be long enough? But no, there's
Yeah.
just so much to talk about with this. This has been really, really fun.
It has been. This is cool. It makes me want to go back and I started Ultra Ruby, but I haven't finished it, or Mega Ruby. I don't. I started one of the. I really like Gen 3, and I started one of the remakes of Gen 3, but didn't finish it. So maybe I need to go back and do that.
I think that's pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we can't really do recommendation. Just play a Pokemon game, and then leave us in the comments below what your gym team would be. Go in as in depth as possible. We want essays, damn you. In by Friday. Yep. Oh well, I don't know. The tension. Daddy says the tension. That's what you're gonna get.
Oh
no. All right. With all that said, it's time for next week. Now, next week is going to be judged by couldn't join us today, but good friend Smugstick has given us a topic to review, and that is going to be Spider-Man Life Story.
I don't know what that is.
It is a 6-issue trade paperback like graphic novel that is one of the very few Marvel style out of continuity kind of like pick up and like a Dark Knight Returns or something, but for Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, cool. I get you.
So Spider-Man Life Story is it's quite recent. It recently finished, I think, last year, and it's kind of the premise is, what if Spider-Man started in the 60s and then aged in real time?
Oh, that's cool.
So, and something I'm very interested in as well is, I've read it before, but I know you're not as in-depth with the comic side of things. I want to see how it reads for someone who doesn't know that much about like comic Spider-Man history.
I know Ultimate Spider-Man.
Exactly. So this is 616 style stuff. So I'm pumped for this one. I'm very glad Lewis suggested it. So we'll be doing that next week.
Cool. Well, I'm curious to read it. I'm excited.
Well then, with all that said, we have been the very best that ever was, and we will be. I am the Dragon for Fun.
And I am the Pokemon erotic.
Holy shit, man! That's too good. That's too good. How well it fits, and it's worse.
It's way worse. It's so much worse.
Holy shit, dude. And we will be discussing things.